Hey guys, I'm Jody with Board Game Perspective, and we are going to take a look at a War of Whispers, the Collector's Edition. Plays 2 to 4 players and is published by Starling Games. Now, there's a lot going on out here. There are 5 mighty empires that are trying to basically take control of the world. Now, you aren't directly leading one empire. Instead, you are behind the scenes and you're a part of a secret society where you're basically trying to pull the strings to rig the results. And you want the empires that you're most loyal to control the most cities at the end of the game. So let's take a quick look at how to play, a brief overview, and then I'll come back up and I'll give you my thoughts. To set up, you're going to be placing out multiple pieces on the board. Obviously, you have this nice round board here, and then you're going to have 5 different areas for the 5 different empires by color. For each empire, you're going to have just the cards shuffled and put here with the corresponding colored empire. So doing that for each color. Then you also have banners for each color. Now on the board, you're going to be putting out towers, cities, farms, and banners depending on the starting symbols on the board. Now keep in mind this is the collector's edition. So on the board it shows a city, so that's where I'm going to put this city mini right there. And then a tower looks like that, so I'll just put a tower in that region. And then you're going to put out banners depending on how many number banners are shown there of that color. So for instance, that one is 2. And so you're going to put that out everywhere. And also the farms over here, the farms look like that. These cute little farm minis, they go there. And let's see, so another example way up here, the blue has 3 banners. So that's how many the blue is going to start with. And then each player is going to grab a board of a certain color. So this player chose purple. And then you have all of your figurines here. And then you've got these loyalty tokens, which you on the back side have the different color, the different empires. What you're going to do is you're going to shuffle those up at random, and you're going to just put them out here. This will be random. Nobody else knows what you have, but once you start the game, you'll be able to peek and kind of see what you have. Now this game is played in turns, and each turn has 4 phases. And this board is nice in that this timer here, you can go around of the board, and this kind of keeps track of what is next during the turn. It has all the different phases out here. So first is a deploying agents phase. You would do that, and then you're going to do the empire's turn phase, where you're going to take actions for each council position for all these different empires. And once you get over here, then you're going to do the cleanup phase, and then lastly the swap phase, and then you're going to proceed to the next turn. Now the goal of the game is to try to ensure that the empires that you are most loyal to, which is on your player board, have the most cities, because you'll be getting more points for each city. So the first phase of a turn is the deploying agents phase. So you're going to start with the first player. Let's just say purple happens to be the first player. And you're going to be placing out your different agents on these different spots. Now each empire has the same spots, but the actions might be different. So for instance, we have the sheriff, the steward, the marshal, the chancellor. So there's 4 locations on each empire. So you're going to be placing out one of your agents to claim that spot for any color that's open. And you'll do this until everyone has placed out 2 of their agents. Now in a 2-player game, each player will be placing out 3 agents. Now after you've completed the first round, then once you go to the deploy agents phase, you will actually be retrieving 1 agent first and then deploying your 2 agents. So for instance, this is after the first round's over, and each player has placed out 2 of their agents. Now in turn order, each player is going to retrieve 1. So let's just say orange wanted to take this one, and then white wanted to take this one, and then purple wanted to take this one. So basically now you're going to be deploying 2 agents, and then once that happens, you'll end up having 3 agents out there because these will stay out there. Now the bulk of the game happens during the Empire turns phase, where you're going to be resolving everyone's actions where they have placed their agents. Now let's take a closer look at resolving each empire, and these are the 4 different council positions for blue. And then what you're going to do is you're going to choose one action for each player who controls one of the council positions. Now there's a couple different ways you can control a position. One, obviously, if you are on that location, then you will control that position. If you happen to be further right of some other actions that no one has claimed, then you actually consider to have control of this position as well as this position. But anything to the right of the last agent, well, nobody will have control, so you will skip that one. So for instance, for purple, you will be able to choose an action for this position, and this position, and no one for that. Now let's say orange had decided to go here. Okay, now orange would be able to take an action here, and then because this player is to the right, they will also be able to do this. So purple will get to do this action and this action. So purple gets to do 2 and orange gets to do 1. If orange were over here, then purple would still get to do all 3 of these, and then orange gets to do that. So there's different combinations of how to resolve that. Now as you can see, there are different colored areas on the board. You have blue here, red, you have green, yellow, brown. Now these represent the different empires. Now, an empire or a certain region is controlled by an empire if it has at least one banner, or if it's considered a home region. And a home region is an area that doesn't contain any enemy banners, so for instance like a red in the blue region, and it is the color that matches the empire's color. So for instance, this right here would still be considered a blue home region because there are no enemy banners here. So if red had those banners there, then that would be considered to be controlled by the red empire because there is at least one red banner in that region. Now when an empire controls a region that has a city there, it also controls the city. And at the end of the game, the number of cities that an empire controls is going to be multiplied by the player's loyalty tokens on the board. And so that's a way you want to decide which empire you want to have the cities and which ones you don't. So for this example, blue is considered to be controlling this city because there are no enemy banners there and the home region is blue. So let's look a little more closely at these different actions you can take. So let's look at this sheriff for blue. This symbol is for banners, so this is a way to get out more banners. So right here you can put out 1 banner per farm that blue controls. So right now, especially at the start of the game, blue only has 2 farms. So this action you could put out 2 banners and in a blue region. This symbol here means that you can attack 1 enemy region adjacent to a region controlled by the active empire. So for instance, blue could attack this region here. And then this is a way to get cards. So you get to draw 1 card per 2 farms. So we have 2 farms, so this player could draw 1 blue card and add it to your hand. This is just simply putting out 2 more banners in a region that blue controls. This is putting out banners depending on how many towers there are. So this blue to start has 1, 2, 3, 4 towers, towers it controls. So you could put out 4 banners. Another way to attack, and this is swapping council positions. So you would actually swap with someone else and take that action of that position. Now the other actions for the different empires are pretty much the same, just little variations. It might be draw a card per 3 towers, or put out 1 banner for 1 farm, just different combinations, but very similar. Now it is important to note that if you choose a certain position, you cannot take both of the actions, you will only choose one to do. So if you were choosing the attack action, you have to move your banners into an enemy controlled region. So for instance, the one we mentioned earlier would work. So we could attack with these units into this, okay? Now, the towers are going to be a +1 defense for yellow. And basically combat is a 1-for-1 ratio. So let's say I moved all 3 of these banners here, okay? Then we have the tower that automatically kills 1 blue banner. And then it's a 1-for-1 ratio. So then all of these would be wiped out. Now, there's no more units there And since there are no units, it's still considered to be controlled by the Yellow Empire because it's the home region and there are no enemy units there. Now, if we happen to have had an additional blue banner that was left behind there, then that would now be controlled by the Blue Empire. Now, after you're done with all the different actions of a certain empire, then you have to check the supply of that empire to make sure there are no more than 4 banners in a region. So, for instance, we're all good here, but let's say this region right here had 5 banners, then this would have to lose 1. Now, if there happens to be a farm in a region, so let's say we've got 4 units there, but a farm can actually hold up to 2 additional units. So if there's a farm there, we can now hold up to 6. So once you make it through taking actions of all these different empires, then you're going to go to end of round 1, and you're going to have to discard down to 5 cards. So each player can only have up to 5 cards in their hand. And then everybody can choose to swap and expose 2 loyalties on their board. So for instance, let's say the purple player wants to swap this one with this one, okay? So what they're going to have to do is you're going to have to flip it over now. And then you're going to switch positions. But now everyone else knows what loyalties these are. So after you've done loyalties, then you start a new round. And you're going to do this all the way until you make it to the game end. So you're going to do round, round, and so on. Now there are 5 different stacks of cards that you could possibly be getting throughout the game. And the cards are going to have the cost on this side and then the abilities over here. So and you can play cards anytime on an action for a council position that you control. So for instance, this one right here, the cost is only one of these little empire symbols, which the card that you play can satisfy that requirement in and of itself. But this one down here would require an additional card with this symbol and then this card as well. So if I had this one, I could play these 2 cards to activate that ability. And then this one is a blue empire card, and then you also had to have a red empire card. And these will do a lot of different things. For instance, this one is after your attack, kill all banners involved in that attack. Let's see, this one is mercenaries, kill 3 banners in any one region. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to help you out throughout the game. And once you've gone through the 4th round and you are now at the game end, everyone is going to tally up their points through their loyalty tokens. So everybody will reveal each of their loyalty tokens. So the loyalty tokens will determine the score for each player. So for instance here, this player would reveal all of their loyalty tokens. And then you're going to be multiplying how many cities the blue empire controls times 4. Then you're going to add that to how many cities the green empire controls, and that's going to be times 3. And then how many cities brown controls times 2, and then times 0 and -1. So for instance, if the blue empire controlled 4 cities, then that would be 16 points. If this brown empire controlled 3 cities, then that's going to be 6 points. If the red empire happened to control 4 cities, then that's going to be -4 points. So you can see how you want different empires to do better compared to others. And after everyone has tallied up how many points they have, then whoever has the most points will be the winner. Now I will point out that the collector's edition comes with this additional rule set here, where it tells you how to set up. Basically, it's a few new cards, some treasure cards and conquest cards that you'll add in the decks. And then it just shows you what to swap out for. So the base game has, instead of these figurines, it has these little tokens, and the base game has these cubes, whereas in the collector's edition, it has the banners. So all this stuff is what you have seen out on the board for this review. Alrighty, so overall, I think this production is really pretty. I mean, I love all the components. Now keep in mind, this is the collector's edition, so they're, so you have the little minis. I love these towers. The cities are fun. I love putting the little banners in the city of the empire that controls it. I find that fun. The little cute farms. I love the production, and one of the things that attracted me to this game initially that I was intrigued by was the circular board. You don't get a lot of circular boards. You have a lot of rectangles, squares, etc. So the circular board really caught my eye, and with all these little fun things out there, it's just really gorgeous. I really like it. And then the art on the cards are great as well. I really, really like that. Now, maybe one of the things that was a little difficult sometimes was just the yellow and brown. Sometimes, on the board it was a little. I mean, when you look at it, you can tell, but at a quick glance, it's like, which empire is that? I just wish maybe the yellow brown was a little bit more distinguishable. But everything else is fine. You got green, red, blue. So I mean that's obvious. The yellow and brown though, especially right next to each other, was like, yeah. But it's doable. It's fine. But I really like, and this kind of goes with that circular board. I love that the flow of each turn of the round, you basically just follow the outside of the board. It kind of tells you the different steps. So you go here where you're going to deploy and retrieve and deploy agents. Then you're going to go through and resolve all the actions, check the supply, make sure there's no more than 4 or 6 banners depending on what's in each region, and you kind of go all the way over, and then it tells you the end of the round, then discard down to 5. I love that all of the different parts of each round are you just follow it on the board. I like that. It's just like the flow of the game. You can see it, and I haven't really seen many games that have done that, and I really like that. I really found that cool about this game. So, one of the things that wasn't my favorite thing about the game was if a lot of players start with similar loyalties, then the game could be a little anticlimactic, because in this game you're trying to secretly, it's like a tug of war. You're trying to get certain certain loyalties that you want to do better than others. And then, other people might want different ones. But if a lot of people happen to have the same loyalty to start, then it's, you're all working on the same thing together. It's a little anticlimactic. So I had one 3-player game that I did where 2 of the people I was playing with happened to have similar loyalties, but I was a lot different. So the whole game, I kind of felt like it was them 2 versus me. So I'm not sure that the best way to kind of resolve that. So if you don't mind possibly having different loyalties compared to other people, or having same loyalties, then you might like this game. If you don't want to have that risk of having 2 people kind of similar and one person not, then maybe this game isn't for you. I don't know. I'm trying to think of. Me and my friends were trying to think of a way to kind of get around that, but we didn't think of anything off the top of our heads. So that is maybe a small downfall for me personally about this game. But I mean, still overall, it was a fun experience. I loved all the different actions, placing the agents out there. You can either put out more banners depending on how many farms or towers. Grab cards which can give you special abilities. I found trying to figure out the different actions and what to do, I found that to be enjoyable. And then, also when someone else is putting out an agent, you're like, ooh, so they're trying to add more units, more banners for that color. Does that mean that they have a higher loyalty to that color of an empire? Or are they trying to, trick you? Or do they have an ulterior motive? It was kind of fun trying to guess, what loyalties each person had. Now, if you're playing a 4-player game, you might have better chances of having more variability in what loyalties each person has, because you have more people. So there might be different scenarios where it might be, maybe 2 people are trying to get loyalties with similar, or I guess there technically is a chance of getting 1 person versus 3 people who are trying to work on the same thing, but that's probably not as likely. I know one of the 4-player games that we played, it kind of seemed it was a little more balanced. It felt a little more like a couple people were working on some together. It wasn't. I don't think we ever hit it where felt like it was 3 people versus 1. But it did feel for sure like you've got a couple people working together on some empires, but then last minute they might be like, oh, let's go kill them all. And it's interesting how different empires are set up to possibly be stronger. For instance, the blue starts out the game with a lot more banners out, basically ready to go attack. The brown doesn't have any banners, but they have more cities. Now the yellow in the games we played, poor yellow. Yellow just is in the center of the board, and they just always got trashed. Yellow just never seemed to do well whenever we played. I don't know if it was just the luck of the loyalties we drew, but yellow was always being fought over or destroyed. So poor yellow guys. But yeah, it was definitely interesting seeing the dynamic of the different empires and how they started the game. So yeah, guys. Overall, that's my thoughts. Overall, I think it's a solid game. There's a few little kinks here and there that weren't my favorite, but I mean, if this looks interesting to you guys, you definitely should check it out. So that is my thought on A War of Whispers. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching. And if you want to go ahead and help us out, click that subscribe button, like this video. We really appreciate it. So I'll see you on the next one.